Right, I start prep for the scallion pancakes by cutting up some scallions. And I have the choice of either cutting it kind of thick on the bias or thin um, straight cut, and I go for the thin cut. And then to make the dough, I mixed all-purpose flour, and I mixed with hot water, and I think the hot water is to form all the gluten up front really fast. And the cold water is supposed to make it easier to handle dough, but I think you should use ice cold water because my my water was not cold enough, and so it became a very sticky mess. And I tried to knead it on the board, but this is a terrible idea. Eventually, I gave up and I put it back in the bowl and then into the fridge. It was temporarily easier to work with, but I think because I added a little bit too much flour, it just became impossible. But eventually I shaped it out. I missed some very important instructions here. The the person in the video actually cut the dough in half, and so I just made one big one, and the problem with this is my pan was not big enough, and so I got a very thick scallion pancake. Anyways, I'm sprinkling on some ground up star anise, clove, dried orange peel, and Szechuan peppercorn. And I sprinkle on some salt. I should have used more salt because there's no seasoning for the original dough. And there's lots of variability for the seasoning for scallion pancakes. I feel like most of the time in restaurants in Seattle, they don't really put anything in there. And then I messed up here. You're supposed to add sesame oil before the green onions because it's a little bit difficult to fold the pancake onto itself and spread out the oil. What I did was I just put the sesame oil on my hands, and then I pressed down on the green onions. And then I forgot what to do here, and I realized I was I'm supposed to roll it up like this. And then you sort of fold it into a cinnamon bun looking thing. And then after that is done, I just roll it out to the final thickness that I want. And I really need to get a tapered wooden rolling pin. That's the only one you actually need. I have this terrible one from Amazon. And then I just fried it in a pan with some peanut oil. And again, my dough was really kind of wet. So by the time I put it in, it was sort of falling all over the place. And I should have put only half this amount in the pan, but I mean, it still turned out tasting good, but not what I wanted. And a good step that I actually remember to follow, I put a lid on it to steam for one side. And if I didn't do this while this pancake was this thick, it just would not be able to cook. And some of the surface that didn't touch the pan didn't brown, so I actually flipped it one more time after this. I make sure to press down this time. And after the second flip, it honestly looked not too bad. And I served it with some braised skirt steak. because I can't find the correct cut of meat still. And it was so thick I can't roll it into the shape you see in restaurants, so I just put it on top. Luckily for me, the pancakes still taste good, and they're good to reheat in the toaster oven too. And I reach in for a hot piece of skirt steak with my hands. I did end up needing a little bit more salt because the pancake dough didn't have any while I mixed it in. I think that's the only thing I would change. But for some reason, most people put the salt when they're adding the seasoning and fold it in. Anyways, thank you for listening to me ramble and have a nice rest of your day.